Two people work the exact same job. Same title, same hours, same pay, same boss. 1 year later, one of them gets the promotion, the raise, the new opportunity, the recommendation that changes everything. The other one is still stuck, still complaining, still working just as hard but invisible. What happened? Was it luck, favoritism, being in the right place at the right time? Or was it something deeper, something ancient, something quantum that most believers completely miss when they clock in every single day? Colossians 3:23 says, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters." Most people read that and think, okay, so I should work harder, got it. Wrong. That verse is not a command to hustle yourself into burnout. It's a frequency shift. It's a quantum recalibration of why you work, who you work for, and what energy signature you're broadcasting while you work. And that signature determines whether you stay stuck or whether doors start opening that shouldn't logically open. If you're someone who works hard, but nothing ever seems to break your way, stay with this, because we're about to expose the quantum excellence law hidden inside this verse, and why it attracts what most people call unfair favor. Before we dive in, if you're tired of grinding with no results and you want biblical teaching that actually connects to how reality works, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment saying, "I work for the Lord." That tells the algorithm there are believers who want real depth, not surface-level fluff. Now let's break this down. Colossians 3:23 is written by Paul to a group of people who were working in very hard conditions. Some of them were slaves, some were laborers. They weren't sitting in corner offices deciding company strategy. They were doing repetitive, invisible, exhausting work. And Paul tells them, do it as if you're working for the Lord. Now on the surface, that sounds like religious duty, like smile and suffer because Jesus is watching. But that's not what's happening here. Paul is giving them a weapon. He's giving them access to a different operating system. He's telling them, you may be working under a human boss, but if you shift your internal reference point to God as your real employer, everything changes. Why? Because when you work for people, you're subject to their opinions, their moods, their biases, their limitations. But when you work for the Lord, you step into a field where promotion doesn't come from your manager. It comes from a source that sees everything, rewards in secret, and opens doors no human can shut. This is where quantum language helps. In quantum terms, energy follows attention. If your attention while working is on, my boss doesn't appreciate me, I'm underpaid, this place will never promote me, you are collapsing a field of victimhood and invisibility around your work. But if your attention while working is on, I'm serving the Lord with this task, I'm doing this unto Him, my real performance review is happening in the unseen, you are collapsing a completely different field. You're emanating excellence, not resentment, gratitude, not bitterness, purpose, not survival. And the field responds. Now let's bring in Catherine Ponder. Catherine Ponder is one of the most respected prosperity teachers in Christian circles. She wrote extensively about how the inner state of the worker determines the outer results of the work. She used to say that your work is your love made visible. And when you do work with a consciousness of love, service, and excellence, even if the work itself is small, you are radiating a prosperity frequency. That frequency doesn't just make you feel better. It changes how people perceive you. It changes what opportunities notice you. It changes the timing of things that were stuck. Ponder taught that resentful work creates resentful results, but work done with an attitude of blessing, even if you're underpaid and underappreciated, becomes a magnet for increase. That's exactly what Paul is saying in Colossians 3:23, just in quantum Bible language. When you work as for the Lord, you're not grinding harder, you're working from a different source. You're no longer begging your environment for recognition. You're partnering with the unseen, and the unseen starts rearranging the scene. Let me make this super practical. Imagine you work in customer service. You take the same calls every day, same complaints, same script, same boring grind. Most people show up in survival mode. They do just enough not to get fired. They complain in the break room. They scroll on their phone between calls. They radiate, "I hate being here." Now imagine the same job, same calls, same conditions, but you make one internal shift. I'm serving God in this call. This customer is a person He loves. I'm going to treat this interaction like worship. Suddenly your tone changes, your patience changes, your presence changes, the caller feels it, your supervisor notices it, even if they don't know why. Other departments start asking for you by name. Within months, things start moving. A position opens, someone recommends you, a manager you've never worked with requests you for a project. Opportunities that should have gone to people with more tenure somehow land in your lap. People call it luck, you know it's law. You shifted the frequency. You stopped working for human approval and started working as unto the Lord. And the quantum field reorganized around that shift. Now I know some of you are thinking, that sounds nice, but I've been working hard with a good attitude for years and I'm still stuck. Fair question. Let me ask you this. Have you really been working as unto the Lord, or have you been working hard while internally resenting the people, the pay, the conditions, and secretly waiting for them to notice and reward you? Because those are two completely different signals. Working hard with resentment is still working for people. You're just doing it bitterly. Working as unto the Lord means your performance, your attitude, your energy are not dependent on whether your boss notices. You do excellent work because God is your audience, not because you're trying to manipulate a human into promoting you. That inner independence is what creates the quantum shift. When you stop needing people to see you, they start seeing you. When you stop performing for applause, favor starts appearing. It's paradoxical, but it's law. Catherine Ponder used to tell a story about a woman who worked as a secretary in a company where she felt invisible. She was doing twice the work of everyone else, but promotions kept going to people with connections. She was bitter, burned out, ready to quit. Then someone gave her a copy of a prosperity teaching that said, "Bless your work, bless your boss. Do everything as an act of service to God, not to men." She thought it sounded ridiculous, but she tried it. Every time she typed a letter, she silently blessed it. Every time her boss gave her a task, she thanked God for the opportunity to serve. Every paycheck, even though it was less than she deserved, she blessed and called it seed. Within 6 months, her entire department was restructured. A new position was created that didn't exist before, and she was the only one considered for it. Her salary doubled. The job gave her access to networks and opportunities that eventually led her out of that company and into her own business. She didn't work harder, she shifted frequency. That's the quantum excellence law. Now here's the part most believers miss. Colossians 3:23 is not just about effort, it's about motive. The verse says, "Work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord." All your heart. That means full presence, full intention, full alignment. Most people are physically at work, but mentally checked out. Half their attention is on their phone, their problems, their weekend plans, their resentment. That scattered attention creates scattered results. But when you bring all your heart into what you're doing, even if it's small, even if it's invisible, you are collapsing possibility into that moment. You become someone the universe can trust with more, because you're fully present with what you have now. And here's where it gets wild. The next verse, Colossians 3:24 says, "It is the Lord Christ you are serving. You will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward." Notice that. Your reward doesn't come from your employer, it comes from the Lord. Your promotion, your increase, your open door might show up through your job, but the source is not your job. The source is God. And when you lock into that truth, you stop being desperate. You stop performing for approval. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into toxic environments. You work with excellence because you're serving a king, and kings don't do sloppy work. If this is landing, take a second and tap that like button so this message reaches more people who are grinding in frustration and need to know there's a better way. Now let's bring this straight into your money and career. Here's the shift. Stop asking, how do I get my boss to notice me? Start asking, how do I show up as someone God can promote? Stop thinking, I deserve more and they're not giving it to me. Start thinking, I'm sowing excellent seed into this season, and my harvest is already in motion. Stop working to impress people. Start working to honor God. That frequency shift changes everything. Suddenly, the job you thought was your ceiling becomes your platform. The work you thought was meaningless becomes training. The environment you thought was against you becomes the place where favor finds you. Not because you hustled harder, because you recalibrated who you were working for. Now, if you want a practical daily tool to walk this out, instead of just hearing it once and forgetting, that's exactly why we created the Quantum Wealth Scripture Journal. It's a 30-day guided journal where every day you get one Bible verse, one quantum teaching, one reflection, and one money action to shift how you think and move around work and wealth. If that sounds like the structure you've been needing, grab it through the link in the description and the pinned comment. Let's keep going. Here's what happens in the unseen when you start working as unto the Lord. First, your energy changes. People feel it. Even if they can't name it, they sense you're different. Second, your decisions change. You stop cutting corners. You stop doing the bare minimum. You start adding value even when no one's watching. Third, your reputation changes. Word spreads. You become known as someone who gets things done, someone who doesn't complain, someone who's reliable. And fourth, doors start opening. Opportunities you didn't apply for, conversations that lead somewhere, favor you can't explain. Catherine Ponder would call that the law of radiation and attraction. You radiate excellence and service, and you attract increase and opportunity. It's not luck, it's frequency. Now let's talk about the traps that kill this frequency. Trap 1, comparison. You start doing excellent work as unto the Lord, but then you look around and see someone else getting promoted who doesn't work as hard as you. The moment you go into comparison and bitterness, you drop out of the frequency. You're back to working for people. Stay in your lane. Your reward is coming from a different source. Trap 2, entitlement. You think, I've been working hard with a good attitude for 2 months. Where's my breakthrough? Quantum shifts don't operate on your timeline. They operate on alignment and readiness. Keep sowing, the harvest is forming. Trap 3, faking it. You try to act like you're working for the Lord, but internally you're still angry, still resentful, still performing. God doesn't respond to performance, He responds to the heart. Get honest, do the inner work, forgive the boss, bless the coworker, release the bitterness. Then the frequency becomes real, and the results follow. So here's your activation for this week. Pick one task at work that you normally do on autopilot or with resentment. Before you do it, pause, take a breath, and say, I'm doing this as unto the Lord. This is an act of service and worship. Then do the task with full attention, full heart, full excellence. Do that every day this week with at least one task. Watch what starts shifting, in you first, then around you. Because Colossians 3:23 is not a command to work harder. It's an invitation into a quantum field where your work becomes worship, and worship becomes the frequency that attracts supernatural promotion. You don't need to beg for raises, you don't need to play politics, you don't need to burn out trying to prove yourself. You just need to shift who you're really working for. And when you do, the Lord Himself becomes your promoter, your provider, your door opener. If this rewired something in you, let me know in the comments what task you're going to do as unto the Lord this week and what result you're believing for. And if you know someone grinding at a job feeling stuck and invisible, share this with them. They need to hear it. The world teaches you to work harder and hope someone notices. The Bible teaches you to work as unto the Lord and let Him handle the promotion. One path leads to burnout, the other leads to favor you didn't earn and can't explain. You get to choose which frequency you work from today.